thoroughly following the direction of independent and self-reliant external relations, together with multilateralization and diversification, Vietnam stands as a reliable friend and partner, as well as a responsible member in the international community. For the past years, Vietnam Customs has always fulfilled its role from being the guard of the economy to trade facilitator, being the partner of both trade and customs communities. Due to the particular characteristics of customs operation being always attached to foreign trade, national security, imports and exports, and international investment and tourism, Vietnam Customs proactively endeavored to reform and modernization and has made considerable progress in integration. With its concrete achievements, Vietnam Customs has contributed to the development of the whole region and at the same time unceasingly strives to reform and modernize to address the requirements of such development. Since the country entered the stage of development reform, the volume of trade and the movement of people and transport means have gradually increased. With the policy of investment attraction, the demand for simplification and smoothness of customs formalities has arisen and become more and more urgent. The accession to the World Customs Organization (WCO) and the participation in Asean Customs Cooperation laid the foundation for Vietnam Customs to step-by-step apply a series of customs reform measures, such as the application of green and red lanes for entry passengers at international airports, priority lane for intra-ASEAN trade, the ASEAN Harmonized Tariff Nomenclature (AHTN), the determination of customs valuation according to the GATT, and the use of information technology in custom management. The participation in APEC ASEM later on also promoted Vietnam Customs to broaden its range, apply in-depth techniques such as advanced information, online declaration, risk management, intelligent analysis, post-clearance audit, automated clearance. In the process, Vietnam Customs has always strengthened bilateral relations with neighboring and traditional customs counterparts, such as China, Japan, France, United States, Korea, Russia, Laos, Cambodia, in order to exchange experience in management, modernization, application of information technology, inspection and control equipments, customs laboratories, and capacity building and training and protection of sovereignty. To formulate a firm legal basis for its cooperation and integration process, Vietnam Customs attaches great importance to the signing of multilateral custom cooperation instruments such as the ASEAN Customs Agreement, Kyoto Convention, HS Convention, ASEAN Transit Agreement, and a number of bilateral agreements with customs administrations of China, Korea, France, Mongolia, Cambodia, Laos. This process of integration has enabled Vietnam Customs to familiarize and employ new concepts, models, and methodology of operation, and to change the perception of management time and space, as well as relations between customs and traders' liabilities. The outcomes of the above process created theoretical and practical premises for Vietnam Customs to conduct series of reforms and innovations in terms of procedures, organization, and especially awareness, from an administration-focused methodology to a control facilitation balanced approach, from regarding traders as subjects of administration to viewing them as partners and clients. It is this process of integration that shaped and drove the demand for comprehensive reform and innovation to suit both modern custom management and the existing situation in Vietnam. Entering the 21st century, meeting the demand for strong administrative reform of the whole country with an identified orientation and support support from regional and international friends, Vietnam Customs was determined to implement comprehensive reform and innovations, and its current countenance was formed. The administrative reform and facilitation of trade movement, investment and tourism towards transparency, simplification, convenience and professionalism aims to serve both people and partners, as well as to address state management requirements. Customs officials strictly follow the administration's client service charter. Transparency and publication of customs officials and clearance powers and duties have simplified and reduced the number of documents in a customs dossier. Traders are required to submit a minimum set of documents to Vietnam Customs. For example, a typical consignment requires 3 types of documents for export and 4 types of documents for import. Several steps have been removed from customs formalities and control. 4 steps for red channel, 3 steps for yellow channel, and 2 steps for green channel. Accompanying reform measures, Vietnam Customs have organized dialogues with traders at all levels, disseminated information, and resolved policy and legislative challenges for traders on the customs newspaper, both paper and electronic editions, via its website and hotline. The application of modern customs management approach is highlighted by the adoption of automated customs procedures based on information technology. Until now, electronic customs process has been implemented at all provincial and municipal customs offices. The rate of traders requiring electronically accounts for 92.88% of all traders. The achievements of electronic customs were thanks to the application and implementation of risk management to establish risk indicators in the process of clearance. Congestion was solved and objectiveness was secured with regard to the determination of merits, levels and random selection for inspection. As a result, the rate of physical inspection has decreased with 10.2% in 2013 compared with 59.8% in 2005 and 100% in 2000. Besides, traders with risks of violating customs regulations are closely monitored, and suspicious consignments detected in the clearance process are transferred to post-clearance audit units. Also, thanks to this risk-based approach, post-clearance audit is targeted at subjects of preference and exemption. Thus, pressure on pre-clearance work is reduced, contributing to counter revenue loss and encourage voluntary compliance and to prevent and deter international violations of customs regulations. An authorized economic operator has been implemented in line with international standards, with a view to mutual recognition with foreign customs administrations. Vietnam Customs has followed GATT and the government's tax administrative reform process. Therefore, revenue collection targets have been timely and properly met and went beyond set goals in most years. Particularly, the connection between customs, banks and state treasury has been recently established to facilitate both enterprises and authorities. In addition, the implementation of advanced rulings such as customs valuation, commodity code and origin, Vietnam Customs has brought benefits for both traders and the administration, thus promotes compliance, builds trust between traders and customs, as well as reduces complaints from traders. In the process, a system of customs agents also arose with positive outcomes. An effective and strong management mechanism was formed, customs formalities were expedited and enhanced, with customs improving its process of document reception and consignment inspection. The application of modern technical equipments in custom control has also been strengthened, in which analysis and classification work with 3 centers have actively contributed to counter revenue loss and commercial frauds. The adoption of modern equipment such as X-ray scanners, radioactivity detectors at airports and seaports, and CCTV also proves its effectiveness by enhancing customs performance and shortening inspection and control time. Strengthening the prevention of and combat against smuggling and frauds, illegally cross-border transport of commodities and currencies, and other acts violating custom regulations. For the past years, Vietnam Customs has always regarded anti-smuggling as an important task, contributing to the protection of national security, economic security, community safety, and state revenue. In the process, Vietnam Customs attaches great importance to participate in and implement international commitments in multilateral and bilateral customs agreements by incorporating international standards and provisions into domestic laws, namely the Kyoto Convention, HS Convention, CVA, TRIP, and numerous FTAs in order to effectively implement those commitments with a sense of responsible integration. In addition, international projects have always actively assisted Vietnam Customs in the course of reform. Some of them are the ETV2 project, which was supported by EU in 2006 to enhance customs performance in some areas. The capacity building project for master trainers to serve the modernization process in the period of 2004-2007, supported by JICA, the risk management project in 2008-2010, the X-ray scanner project, which was supported by the government of Japan, other programs and projects under WCO framework such as SAFE, PICARD, and SAND, Megaport project in Vũng Tàu, which was sponsored by the US government. These projects have assisted Vietnam Customs in affirming its reform outcomes. The results of the 10-year reform and the modernization process, especially electronic customs implementation, enabled Vietnam Customs to successfully adopt and implement the project for e-customs and national single window mechanism implementation for custom modernization, Venus VC's project with support from Japan. Up till now, the system has been operating properly and further facilitates import and export activities of traders.
Việc đưa vào áp dụng cái hệ thống VNAC vào Việt Nam.
The application of VNAC in Vietnam has a number of important meanings.
Cái việc thứ nhất
First, the adoption of an international standard system with customization to suit Vietnam's situation will assist Vietnam Customs to realize the targets set out in the Customs Development Strategy for the period the year 2010 and the year 2020, as well as contribute to Vietnam's efforts to implement the National Single Window Mechanism.
Cái thứ hai là
Second, the adoption of VNAC will standardize the operation of Vietnam Customs and facilitate trade investment as well as state administration of customs, through which the competitiveness of Vietnam's economy is heightened.
Cái ý nghĩa thứ ba của
Third, together with the standardization of customs operation, the completion of legislation and system standards are also contribution of Vietnam to Asian's efforts in implementing the Asian Single Window.
Trong khuôn khổ của Asean.
In summary, once these goals are achieved, the project will enhance the level of modernization of Vietnam customs to that of the region and the world.
Cao cái mức độ hiện đại hóa của hải quan Việt Nam lên tầm khu vực cũng như là trên tầm thế giới.
For the reform and modernization process of Vietnam Customs to be effective, the completion of the legislative basis has always been prioritized, evidenced by the development and revision of Law on Customs 2001, which were revised and supplemented in 2005, the development and implementation of the Law on Tax Management to meet the rapid integration requirements for Vietnam customs. With the current strong steps in integration, the law on customs will be once again revised and passed by the National Assembly in May 2014. With the adoption of this law, the number of international customs standards and practices will be localized and create a legal basis for Vietnam customs to apply new regulations towards advanced customs management. The Association of Southeast Asian Nations, ASEAN, was formed on August 8, 1967, with the Bangkok Declaration in Thailand and marked an important milestone in the development of the region. Since the country's accession to ASEAN in 1995, Vietnam Customs has been actively involved in ASEAN cooperation through major programs such as the ASEAN Customs Policy and Implementation Work Program, PIWP, Strategic Plan of Customs Development, SPCD, with a wide range of upgraded customs technical areas, including customs procedures, guard customs valuation, common declaration, and especially the ASEAN single window. Through the process, Vietnam Customs exercised and familiarized itself with modern customs methodology at a suitable scope for Vietnam at that time. Thus was a beneficial drill for Vietnam Customs before entering a practical customs arena in APEC, ASEAN, GMS, WCO, and especially WTO later on. The National Single Window and the ASEAN Single Window are being actively prepared. Up to now, the Data Model Information Exchange Process, ASEAN Declaration Form, legal basis have all been smoothly implemented. Vietnam Customs developed a master plan and has been effectively implementing the components of the plan, as well as completed legislative procedures to run the pilot project in parallel with VNAS visas.
The participation of Vietnam Customs in many Asian customs cooperation activities is ultimately manifested in three major events. Firstly, Vietnam Customs hosted the Asian Customs DG Conference for the first time in 1995 in Hanoi. This event can be compared with a greeting and handshake with the Asian customs community in particular and the international customs community in general. Then, the 12th Asian Customs DG Conference was again organized in Hanoi in the year 2004. That was the end of Vietnam Customs' initial access to international customs and the beginning of a new development stage of Vietnam Customs towards modernization. And in the year 2014, the 23rd Asian Customs DG Conference hosted in Dalat will affirm the stature of Vietnam Customs in international customs cooperation and modernization.
With the nationwide adoption of VNAS visas and the enforcement of the revised custom law from January 2015 and the implementation of the customs development strategy until 2020, together with other major programs related to customs modernization, will be an important premise for new development steps of Vietnam Customs. Specifically, that it to continue the implementation of modernization measures that have been in operation in the period 2014-2015, customs automation with a smooth operation of VNAS visas, completion and implementation of the National Single Window and ASEAN Single Window, as well as post-clearance audit, risk management, intelligence, performance indicators, customs business partnerships, authorized economic operators, efficient use of modern customs control and supervision equipment, capacity building for officials, coordination of modernization process at all levels in the customs sector towards professionalism, transparency, efficiency customs sector.
Chiến lược phát triển hải quan
The objective of the Vietnam Customs until the year 2020 is to be on equal level with other countries in the region, in which the country target until the year 2015 is automated customs procedures in 5 components. First, automated declarations of traders. Second, automated declarations of carriers e-manifest. Third, automated payment of duty and other fees e-payment. Fourth, automated processing of origin of goods (ECO). And fifth, automated issuance of licenses for imports and exports of government agencies e-permit. On this occasion, please allow me to express my sincere thanks to the cooperation of neighbor countries, Asian, APEC, and Asian countries, and especially the World Customs Organization, WCO, and Japan Customs for your valuable assistance extended to Vietnam Customs so that we can take the very first important steps in effective reform and modernization. Vietnam Customs expects that it will continue to receive support from neighbor, regional, and world customs community. On its part, Vietnam Customs is committed to be a responsible member in the international community and to undertake the assigned mandates and duties.
In the context of globalization, the internationalism manifests more and more clearly and further affirms the importance of Vietnam customs not only in state management merchandise and transport means, but also in its role of facilitating international trade and securing a healthy environment for the country's economic activities.